Let us talk about an ideal spin system.
So what is an ideal spin system? So ideal spin system means each particle of the system behaves independently. Now what does that mean further? This means nothing but, as we were talking about it last time, that the particles are separated, they are far away from each other, and they are weakly interacting. That means they are almost not interacting with each other. And that means now, when we say that this particle has two different possibilities to have a state, because if it is a spin half particle, it can be either in up state or down state. Now, every particle has a magnetic moment associated with it. Then, for a particle, there can be an cumulative effect of all other particles' magnetic moment. That means, at the position of a particle, there can be a net magnetic field which is coming due to the presence of all other particles. But in our system, where we are saying that they are not interacting or they are weakly interacting with each other, that means they are far away from each other, no particle is experiencing magnetic field due to the presence of other particles in the system. So that particle can decide whether it should be in upstate or downstate, irrespective of how the other particles are situated. So the particle of the system behaves independently. It does not decide its state, or it does not need to look at how the other particles are to change its state from up mode to down mode. Okay. Now consider a system with n spin-half particles. Now when we are deciding about a number of particles in the system, that decides the microstates of the system. So consider a system with n spin-half particles. Let the particles are weakly interacting. So that means it is not that they are not interacting at all. They might be interacting, but the interaction is happening very, very rarely. Now, this point where we are talking about weakly interacting, this I will discuss again little later. Okay. So there will be 2 raised to n possible ways of particle alignments when there are n particles, and each particle has two states, up state and down state, to be in any particular energy state. There will be 2 raised to n possible ways of particle alignments. Every macro state is associated with macroscopic parameter, that is magnetic moment of the system. Here we are assuming that there is no external magnetic field present. So we are not talking about the energy of the macro state right now. We are only talking about the magnetic moment of the system in every macro state. And when we are talking about parameter of a system, we are talking about magnetic moment of the system. That will be the macroscopic parameter. When we talk about magnetic moment of a particle, that is the microscopic parameter. Now, as every particle has two possible states, that is up and down, to exist in energy state, every macro state is associated with a fixed number, that is capital R, I am denoting by capital R, of particles which are in a specific state. So out of n number of particles, there will be some particles in up state, some particle in down state. Depending upon how many are in up state and how many are down state, that decides the total magnetic moment for the system, right? And that total magnetic moment of the system is a macroscopic parameter of the system, and that is where here we have seen, because of that, that every macro state is then associated with fixed number R of particles in a specific state. We are going to see this again, taking some proper example. Now, out of n number of total particles, this R will definitely be less than or equal to n. So out of n number of particles, that is total number of particles to be in up state, there will be NCR different weights. Okay, is there anyone who doesn't understand this part? What is this NCR? These are the combinations. Let me explain it this way. In our class, if we have 3 students and there are 2 benches, okay, these 3 students have to take place somewhere on these 2 benches. It is possible that all 3 students are on first bench, and that can happen only in one particular way. Here n will be then 3. R is 3 because I'm saying all 3 are in first bench. Okay, so then 3C3 will be equal to 1 because the equation for NCR is n factorial upon r factorial into n minus r factorial. Instead of all 3 occupying first bench, if I say that one student should be on first bench, that means automatically remaining 2 go on the second bench. Now, in how many ways can we have one student, that is r equal to 1, out of 3, where n is equal to 3 on first bench? That will become 3CR. So it will be 3 factorial upon 1 factorial into 2 factorial, and that is equal to 3. What does that mean? It can be that student number 1 is on first bench, or student number 2 on the first bench, or student number 3 on the first bench. Okay, now if you want to go on increasing this, let's consider n equal to 4. This example we have already discussed last time, but we did not use this particular equation of NCR. So if there are 4 students, out of 4 students, we can have either 0 on the first bench, or we can have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 on the first bench. Depending upon how many out of 4 are going to be on first bench, we will have different configurations or different setups for distributing the students among the 2 benches. So if we say that out of 4 bench students, 2 students should be on first bench. These 2 can be student 1, 2, or it can be student 1, 3, or it can be 1, 4, it can be 2, 3, 2, 4, and so on. Okay, so NCR will give you the number of configurations for r number of particles out of total n to be in one specific state. Is this much clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go to the next part now. Okay, so now for 4 spin-off particles, that is what we saw last time. For 4 spin-off particles fixed in space. Now see here, this particular terminology, fixed in space, this is same as saying that the particles are distinguishable, and it is again same as saying they are weakly interacting. When we say that the particles, if we are taking a gas, all the particles are identical, but if they are fixed in space, that means their locations are fixed and they are far away from each other, they are not interacting with each other, we can label them as particle A, particle B, particle C, and so on. So to mention that the particles are distinguishable, it is written is they are fixed in space or they are weakly interacting, instead of saying that they are distinguishable. Because when we are taking our sample or system as one particular gas, saying that all the particles of a given gas are distinguishable actually doesn't make sense, right? And so instead of saying that they are distinguishable, here it is usually said that they are weakly interacting or they are fixed in space. So there are 4 spin-off particles fixed in space, and there are then 16 different configurations. That is what we have seen last time. So when we have 4 spin-off particles, each particle can be either in state up or state down. In every configuration, we will now have a particular configuration where a particle is either in state up or state down. So there will be 16 different configurations. These 16 different configurations make 16 different microstates for the system. So the number of microstates for a system which has spin half particles is given as 2 raised to n. In this case, there are 4 particles, so the number of microstates is 2 raised to 4, that is 16. This is provided these particles are distinguishable particles. Is this clear? Now, these microstates are distributed among 5 different macrostates. We have seen it last time that the number of macrostates will be based on the number of different magnetic moments of the system. Okay, so for 4 spin-off particles, there are 5 different possible values of magnetic moment for the system. So there are 5 different macrostates. And remember, with this particular type of particles where there are spin half particles, the number of macrostates is always n plus 1. In this case, n is 4, and so the number of macrostates is 5. How does this actually come over here? If you have 4 particles, one macrostate is the state where 0 particles are in upstate. Second one is when only 1 particle out of 4 is in upstate. Third one, when there are 2 particles are in upstate. Fourth one, when there are 3 particles in upstate. And fifth one, when all 4 are in upstate. So like that, if you have n number of particles, then the number of macrostate is always n plus 1. Now, we know that NCR, I will come to this equation first, then I'll go here. NCR, that is n is the total number of particles, and capital R is the number of particles in a specific state. We are considering upstate. So out of 4, if 1 particle is in upstate, NC1 will give you number of microstates for 1 particle to be in upstate out of 4. Like that, if you change this R from 0 to 4, that means out of 4, 0 are in upstate, that will give you 1 macrostate. Then 1 out of 4, 1 in upstate, that will give you another macrostate. So NC capital R gives you the number of microstates for every macrostate, where the macrostate is changing with the number of particles which are in upstate. And this sum of all these microstates for every macrostate is nothing but total number of microstates. This equation can also be written this way. How many macrostates we have? So here I've written small r, which defines a macrostate. And we have 5 macrostates. So this is going from r equal to 1 to 5. And then this will become NC r minus 1, where in first macrostate, number of particles in the upstate is 0. In the second macrostate, number of particles in the upstate is 1, and so on. So if you add the microstates associated with all the available macrostates, that will give you total number of microstates in the system, and that is nothing but 2 raised to n. Are you with me till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
so let's proceed further now. Now, this is what I've explained over here. Now, here let's see this table. So let us say that we have 4 particles. So if you have 4 particles, this table we have written last time. Now, the same table I'm explaining in a different way. So we have 4 particles. And then we say small r is the number of macrostate. So this is the first macrostate, second macrostate, and like that. So in the first macrostate, capital R shows me how many particles are in upstate. So in the first macrostate, I say that there are 4 particles in the upstate. It does not matter whether you start with 4 and go to 0 or you start with 0 and go to 4. Final calculation is going to remain the same. So here I am saying that in the first macrostate, 4 particles, that means all 4, we are having 4 particles and all 4 are in upstate. And that will give me magnetic moment mr, that is the magnetic moment for the rth macrostate, equal to 4 times mu 0. When I go to the next macrostate r equal to 2, I am considering that 3 particles out of 4 are in upstate, and that gives you magnetic moment for the second macrostate m suffix 2 as 2 mu 0. And this is how we get the value of magnetic moment for the system in different macrostate. And with every macrostate, the number of configurations in which you can get 4 particles in upstate is just 1. The number of configurations in which you get 3 particles in upstate. 3 particles in upstate, that means 1 is in downstate. Out of 4, 1 is in downstate, and that can happen 4 different ways. Either A is in downstate, or B in downstate, or C or D. And that means I'll have 4 such configurations. When there are 2 particles in upstate, that is the third macrostate, that means there will be 2 in the downstate. 2 in the upstate and 2 in downstate will give you magnetic moment of the system as 0. And this is possible in 6 different ways. Okay, and so on. So now we have to concentrate on this middle state. Let us discuss on that further. Now, this whole thing what we have written here is in the absence of external magnetic field. Okay, if there is an external magnetic field present, then most of the particles will try to align their magnetic moment parallel to the external magnetic field. But when there is no magnetic field, external magnetic field, the total magnetic moment of the system is supposed to be 0, because the particles are aligning themselves randomly. Now when we say that the magnetic moment of the system is supposed to be 0, but here we have shown the other values for the magnetic moment also. So how is that happening? Now you can see that the number of possible configurations giving us magnetic moment 0 is maximum among all these values. Okay, so please remember this, and we will discuss this in detail little later. Okay, so now in the absence of external magnetic field, all the 2 raised to n configurations of the n particles are equally probable. Now what do you understand by this? That means now here 6 plus 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1, this is 16 microstates. Okay, that means there are 16 different possible configurations in which these 4 particles can exist at any given time. Clear? And if there are 16 different configurations, each configuration is equally probable. So if there are 16 different configurations, probability of any one configuration to exist, that means probability for the 4 particles to exist in a particular configuration, say up, up, down, down, or up, down, 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 and so on. So any one given configuration has a probability of 1 upon 2 raised to n, because each microstate has equal probability. Total number of macrostates is 2 raised to n. So if you add all these probabilities, that is, if you add probability of every microstate, particle has to exist in the system. So adding the probability, sorry, I made a mistake in saying the system is existing. So particles have to be in one of the configurations at any given time. So probability of all the particles existing together is 1. And so if you add the probability of every configuration, that should be equal to 1. So if there are 16 microstates, each microstate will have a probability of 1 by 16. And then now this particular macrostate, am I going very fast? Am I going very fast?
No, ma'am.
Okay. 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 So now this particular macrostate, macrostate 1, has only one configuration. Okay, that means only with one particular configuration, the magnetic moment of the system is 4 mu 0. And then the probability of the magnetic moment to be 4 mu 0 will be 1 upon 16. Okay, but if we now want to say the probability of the system having magnetic moment 2 mu 0, there are 4 different microstates giving this particular magnetic moment, and each has a probability of 1 by 16, right? And so the probability for the system to exist in this macrostate, that means the system taking 2 mu 0 as its total magnetic moment, is 4 upon 16. And similarly, the probability for the system to have magnetic moment equal to 0 is 6 upon 16. Is this concept clear? That means we find that the particular macrostate which has maximum number of microstates has a maximum probability to exist. Or in other words, the system under observation will have a maximum probability to show us the total magnetic moment equal to 0, because the probability of that is going to be maximum as the number of microstates giving us the total magnetic moment 0 is maximum. Okay, just tell me if this much is clear, then I will proceed further. Is this much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so now let's proceed further. So now here I'm saying that in the absence of external magnetic field, all the 2 raised to n configurations of the n particles are equally probable. And so the probability for the system to exist with any one configuration of the particles is 1 upon 2 raised to n. This is what we have just now discussed. So the probability of the system to exist in any one micro state, I'm saying about macro state, that is any one specific value of magnetic moment, will be equal to NCR, that is the number of microstates associated with this macro state, divided by 2 raised to n. Okay. Okay, so now this value will be equal to maximum when NCR is maximum. This is what we saw. When NCR, that is this, is maximum here. Okay, we say that this particular macro state will be having maximum probability. Okay, so now we can say that this NCR will be maximum when R equal to n by 2. Are there any non-math students over here who didn't have mathematics in last year? The permutation combinations you must have studied maybe earlier in school or 11th, 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
does everyone understand that NCR will be maximum when R equal to n by 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just show you from this table if you want. Here we can say that this NCR here is 4C1. Sorry, this is 4C4. This is 4C3, 4C2, 4C1 and 4C0. And you can see that 4C2 is maximum. You take any value for n and you go on writing it this way with NCn minus 1, NCn, NCn minus 1 and so on. And you will find that NCn by 2 will always be maximum. And then here it was increasing in a particular way and the same values you will get again on this side. Okay. So this is the probability for the system to be in rth macro state, and this is given as NCR, where R is the number of particles out of n particles which will be in one specific state for that macro state. So NCR upon 2 raised to n is the probability of the system existing in this particular macro state R, in which R number of particles are in the particular state. Okay. Now, then let's come to the next discussion here. Now we are talking about relative probability. Okay. Now, you can see from the table here, the probability for the system to be in this particular state, okay, is going to be, yes, 6 upon 16. Probability for system to be here in this state is 4 upon 16. So what is the relative probability for the system to be in this particular macro state? What do you understand by relative probability? So okay, this calculation which I have shown here is for a bigger system, so I don't want to go to that. So how will you find the relative probability? What is the equation for relative probability? So if I want to find relative probability for this particular macro state, okay, that is state equal to 2, that will become 4 by 16 divided by 6 by 16. So that will become 4 by 6. Am I right? Okay. That means now relative probability for the system to exist in the macro state 1 will become 1 by 6. So that means as you go away from the most probable state, you find that the probability, relative probability of that particular macro state goes on decreasing. So now we are going to say that we are actually observing this system of these 4 particles for a very long time, and in between we are trying to measure its magnetic moment. So if we measure its magnetic moment, say 100 times, out of these 100 times, how many times we will find that the magnetic moment is 0 will be, that number will be larger than the number of times it is found with any other magnetic moment value. Now just remember over here, if you have one coin and if you throw, you know that the probability of getting head is half. That means every coin has the probability to give you head is half. If you throw this coin 10 times, you expect that out of 10 times, 5 times the coin should give you head and 5 times the coin should give you 10, right? But actually when you throw it 10 times, it is not
Always possible.
that you get head exactly 5 times. Then if you increase the number of the events, throwing a coin we are calling as event. So if you increase the number of events, that means now if you throw the coin 100 times, you expect
To get head 50 times.
this is going to happen. That means the probability, if you are throwing it 10 times and you notice that you got head instead of 5 times, you got it 3 times. Okay, that means the probability that you got head is 3 by 10. If you throw it 100 times and notice how many times you have got the head, you will find that as the number of events goes on increasing, the probability of getting head will start approaching 1 by 2. So theoretical probability will be obtained experimentally only if the number of events is much, much larger. So instead of this, we can say that we are actually taking 10 coins together. Okay, if you take 10 coins together and you throw them at a time, that means instead of throwing just one coin at a time, you are throwing 10 times 10 coins at a time. You find that you will get out of 10, you expect 5 coins to give you head, but you may get just 3 coins giving you head. Instead of throwing 10 coins at a time, if you throw 100 coins at a time, you may get instead of 30, 40 coins giving you head. But if you increase the number of coins, go to 1000, it is possible that you are approaching the probability which is theoretical probability, that is 1 by 2. So to get the experimental probability equal to theoretical probability, the number of particles in the system should be much, much larger. Actual systems which we are going to discuss will be the gas. So when we are talking about gas, even if you take just 1 mole of gas at NTP, you know that the number of particles is much, much larger, is equal to the Avogadro's number. Now let's come to then some equation over here. From there it will become more clear to you. So there are 2n number of particles in a system. Why I'm taking 2n? Because we want to come to half of this, which will still be a number that we can talk in this. We don't have to write as half number. Okay. So there are 2n number of particles in a system. So 2n Cr will be equal to maximum when this R, where R is the number of particles in a specific state, say up state. So out of 2n, when half the particles, that means when R equal to n, the number of particles which is half out of total is in up state, the probability of the system existing in that state is maximum. Okay, so this 2nCr is the number of microstates for that particular configuration, and that is maximum when R is equal to this 2n upon 2, that is n. So the most probable state for the system will be the configuration where n number of particles out of 2n are in the up state and the remaining n in the down state. Okay, so probability for m is written as probability nn, that is n in the up state, m in the down state. Okay, m is the most probable state. So probability for the most probable state will be pnn, where n number of particles are in up state, n in the down state, and that is given as 2ncn. This is the number of microstates for this particular macro state, and that divided by 2 raised to 2n, because 2 raised to 2n will be the total number of configurations, that means total number of microstates for this particular system. Is this much clear? This part is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we can say that the probability of the most probable state or macro state is 2 raised to n upon, 2ncn upon 2 raised to 2n. Let few particles out of this n, few particles, that is say s particles, shift from up state to down state or from down state to up state. That means now we are going to macro state which is away from the most probable state. So let us say S more particles shift from down state to up state. Okay, so initially we had n number of particles in up state and n in the down state. Now we will get n plus particles in the up state and n plus s particles in the up state and n minus s particles in the down state. Now what is the probability of this particular configuration? In this particular configuration, n plus s is the number in the up state. So number of microstates for this particular number of total part out of total 2n particles, this particular number of particles to be in the up state, the number of microstates is 2nc n plus s. And so the probability for the system to exist in this particular macro state will be 2nc n plus s, which is the number of microstates for that macro state, divided by 2 raised to 2n, which is the total number of microstates in the system. Okay. Now, relative probability of this particular macro state where n plus s particles are in the up state and n minus s in the down state will be, I'm denoting this as P suffix capital R, where this capital R tells me the number of particles in the up state, and that is here n plus s. So probability of that divided by the probability of the most probable macro state, that is where n particles are in the up state and n in the down state. And so that will become 2nc n plus s upon 2nc n. Can you write this in a simple form? Okay, what is this? This is 2n factorial upon n plus s factorial into 2n minus n plus s, that is 2n minus n minus s factorial. Okay, divided by, this will become 2n factorial upon n factorial into 2n minus n factorial, because it is divided, this is divided by this, I am writing it in the other way. I mean, I have already written it as n factorial up into 2n minus n factorial upon 2n factorial. Okay, and this is nothing but n factorial. See, this 2n factorial, this 2n factorial gets cancelled out. This is 2n minus n, that is n. So it is n factorial upon n plus s factorial into n minus s factorial. Is this much clear? Okay, here I've shown you some equation which is simple, but what you have to understand from here is very important now, that as this n goes on increasing, you can yourself calculate it by taking, say, initially you can take n equal to say 10, take s is equal to 2 and see, because if n is equal to 10, that means total number of particles is 20. Out of 20, when 10 in up state, we get most probable state. If only 2 particles shift from down state to up state, this will become 10 plus 2, this will become 10 minus 2, and you calculate the relative probability. Now you go for n equal to 100, that means we are considering 200 as the total number of particles, and out of 200 you can take s equal to 20 and again calculate this, and you see that as this total number of particles, that is n is half of total number of particles, goes on increasing, the relative probability for s to be, say, take as some percentage of total particles, 10% or 20% of total particles, and you will find that the relative probability goes on decreasing. And as I said earlier, that we have our system which has n very, very large, and so I'll write some equation over here, and that is, if we have this s, that is the total, the number of particles which are going to change their state later, this s is much less than n. Okay, if this s is much less than n, then we find that the relative probability p suffix r is 1 minus s by n raised to s, where because s is much less than s, n, this particular number is much, much smaller than 1. That means relative probability will become now almost 1 raised to s. And so we find that this relative probability is roughly written as r, sorry, I'm using this as not r but p suffix r. P suffix r is equal to e raised to minus n into f square, where f is equal to s by n. And if S is much less than n, F is going to be much less than 1. Okay. Now, what do you understand from here? The systems which we are considering, where the number of particles is very, very large, Avogadro's number, that is too large. Even if you consider S, that is the number of particles shifting from upstate to downstate with respect to the most probable state, is say in millions, 10 raised to 6. Even then, the relative probability is very close to 1. And that means most often we will find that the system is in the state where a magnetic moment equal to 0. Okay, here we can say again in the same thing in two different ways, and that is, one is we observe the system large number of times and we see that we measure the parameter in every time. That means if we have measured the parameter of the system 1000 times, and then we find out what is the parameter value and which value is occurring maximum number of times. This is one way. Second is we see the system which is observed only once, but it has large number of pockets of the gas. That means you have a group of same number of particles with all identical conditions, and you have large number of such groups, and you are observing all those groups simultaneously and note down what is the magnetic moment of every group. You will find that maximum number of such groups will have magnetic moment equal to 0 at any time that you are taking the observation. Are the two things clear? So one is we are taking the time average. We are observing one given system large number of times. Second is we are taking large number of identical systems and we are observing all that full group of that large number of identical systems only once at any given time, and find out how many of those groups give you the same value of magnetic moment. Are the two concepts clear? I'll come to those two concepts again when I introduce the concept of ensemble. Okay. So thank you.